Hey there Internet, just a little update to show you an interesting couple of things. One, here are the more solid masks I've been making up to use for getting the new positive masks of the paw-pads. You can see they're a lot flatter than the last lot were, and obviously actually look more the correct shape. It looks a little bit over-defined at the moment, but I'll smooth out a few of the high points and low points, and it gets covered in the fake leather to give it its pattern. It should be a lot better, and you'll see the same goes for the canine design there. A lot flatter. It's still got a bit of an angle on it, but that will file away alright. Let's just give them a more reproducible end product. Here though, I'm trying something new. What I've got is, I've been trying experiments with the expanding foam rubber, and I love the texture of this stuff. It's really squishy, soft, lovely. Unfortunately, with a rough, well not rough, but an irregular texture. I mean, even on the open side, and if you can make that out, even on the open side there, it's still not a perfect skin. It's a self-skinning rubber, but it doesn't skin perfectly. There's still bubbles that break through and so forth. And on the textured side, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not contiguous. It's not an unbroken surface. It's still very nice though, and it does actually keep a pattern to it, and it does surprisingly back pretty well straight off to the fleece back, and you see there maybe more of the surface. You see the texture there. You may not be able to see the bubbles. It's a little bit irregular in places as well. And that one's quite nice, but there's, I think, this one here on the other side. It's quite a solid spot just there. I think I must have not mixed it too well. What I'm trying to do is I've got some of the regular polyurethane rubber that I usually cast the pads solid in. I'll try painting it on the inside the mould. It's only been less than 20 minutes mixed so far, so it hasn't started to go off yet. It's still pretty thick, so it's thickening up slowly, but it's still not adhering to the inside of the moulds just yet. As it hits the sort of 30-minute mark, it'll probably be solid enough, maybe 35. Doubt it'll be 40. That's the point where it really starts to go. But if I just keep docking it up just to see where it goes. The idea is once it hits the sort of about the 30-minute mark, I'll mix up a batch of the raw expanded foam rubber, pour that in, back it, and hopefully bond it to another piece of fleece there. So hopefully I'll have a cast with a solid urethane outer and the expanded foam centre, which I'm hoping will give a nice, it'll give you a very robust but a very soft, resilient pad. So we'll see how that goes, especially because if this works, wonderful stuff like noses as well, I reckon. So yeah, the things are developing there. Also, the horns are still not cast. I had some nasty run-in with the urethane varnish. It did not like working with the wax, so I had to take a lot of time to clean all the wax off the horns very thoroughly, getting out all the nooks and crevices. Then I had to leave them to dry and to get all the thinners off that got the wax off, let them dry away. Then I had to clean them up because it did roughen up the surfaces a bit. It caused a few of the more hairs to delaminate, so I had to do a lot of careful surgery on them to bring them back in line. And actually the ram horns only partially, because they're so large, I just couldn't turn them and shift them around enough to get an even coating of the varnish. But so they've only got varnish on the outer edges here. I'll be doing another batch of that tonight, which will hopefully then leave them ready to use the clay I got, which is underneath this broken shredder, which we can ignore for the moment. This nice block of clay I ordered. Build up some mounts around the bottom just to give them a flat mating surface, because if these are going to go in a roto casting machine, I want to have a flat surface so I can just seal the ends of a piece of plastic of some sort. So they've got to be packed out a little bit before that. Yeah, once there's a block of clay in there to hold them steady, then they get the thin cast of silicone, then they get the layer of the thicker silicone, and after that they get the fiberglass jackets made up, which will probably be the longest point, but hopefully I'll get that done in under a week, because time is running out. It's only 3 weeks to Expo, and the delays, I'm really starting to feel them now. But yeah, they look gorgeous with the thin coat varnish on. Really loving how they look. I'm hoping they look as good when they're castings instead. Okay, it did take up to about the 40-minute mark, because really this stuff was not thickening up. Even now, the 48 minutes, it's 20 degrees in here, so it should be about the perfect temperature. See, now it's just, like a thick caramel, so you're kind of limited by what it'll do. And I'm a bit concerned. I've got it under a glass plate here that's pressing the fleece. That's the word I'm looking for. Pressing the fleece down into it, just so it bonds with it. So bring it up just temporarily. You can see it's pushing up around the edges, so I'm a little concerned there that it's forcing it out. I was hoping it'd be a little further gone, so it may mean that I need to leave it just a little bit longer, but the longer I leave it the longer I leave it for the outer layer to cure, the less the inner foam rubber will likely stick to it. That's been curing now for an hour and 40. It's just a little bit tacky, but I think it's safe to pull out. So we go, ooh. Okay. I left the foam unpigmented so it would show through if it needed to. There's points here where it seems to work out alright, but not all the way through, obviously. So, other half. Okay. Let's look at that in the light. The surface is a lot more consistent than it was. A lot more consistent. I can't see any bubbles coming through. There's one or two, maybe, but all in all, that's kept its look very nicely. It's a little bit tacky, but with the mould out the way, this may squish all the way through. And the foam itself should be set by now, but not necessarily the rubber that covers it. So let's see. See this? It's a lot smaller. I'm trying to play it off against what's any. I'm mentally trying to compare it. So it's returning to show stuff, some fingerprints in there, but it's not coming off my fingers. It seems to go reasonably evenly. Let's see, do I have any? So let's see, just to compare, squish test. All I can do is say I'm pressing it approximately the same amount of force. I'm pressing there, I'm getting maybe a couple of millimeters, maybe 3 tops, pushing with a reasonable amount of force. Here, same amount of force, going down maybe 6 or 7 millimeters. That's a lot softer, that's actually a lot nicer. What I may have to do then, if I want to try that, either if I try the 80 Shore rubber next, won't be doing that tonight, it's too late. But if I try the 80 Shore, the harder rubber, is only a thin coating, so if this is only a thin coating, it may not have much effect on the softness. It might be a bit harder, more resistant to wear. But if I tried that one, see if I think it's a bit thicker when you mix it. If it is, then it may adhere to the inside of the mould better, but I think the best way to go about this is probably just to put the coating in, because it has covered, it's just not covered thickly enough to hide the colour underneath. So it needs putting some pigment in the foam as well. That should be alright. Obviously it's a very messy mould, because I was just wanted it to bond around the edges as well, but there was no need. It would be a lot cleaner than that on a production run, but that's got some future in it. I'll see how that goes with some more tests. Well, I do like this. The texture of this is so nice. This looks the business. It looks good when it's obviously not. This one doesn't. That's a reject. That's why it's just lying around on the bench. But this looks the business, but it is softer than the other one. But it's, yeah, I suppose the touch is not as, I wouldn't say natural, it's not unnaturally hard, but it's, this one here feels more approachable, more cartoony, so probably have to run with that.